The sun was sinking behind the tall trees, throwing long golden beams across the forest floor. Ryan walked slowly along a narrow path, carrying a small pack on his back. He was not a soldier or an explorer by choice. He was a worker in the human colony, a man who repaired broken tools and kept the machines running. But sometimes, when his mind felt heavy, he wandered out here into the wild. The forest was old, older than human memory, and it always gave him a strange feeling of peace. Yet that evening, peace was far away. The forest was quiet, but it was not the normal quiet of birds resting. It was the heavy silence that meant something was watching. Ryan paused. His heart started to beat faster, and he looked over his shoulder. The trees swayed gently, but no one was there. Still, he could not shake the feeling that unseen eyes followed every step he took. He told himself to stay calm. He had been warned many times not to go too deep into the woods. Hunters said strange shapes moved between the trunks at night. Some believed the forest belonged to an ancient race that hated human trespassers. Ryan never put faith in such stories. He thought they were tales to scare children. But now, standing alone as the last light slipped away, he began to wonder if there was truth behind them. He pressed forward, trying to quicken his pace back toward the colony fence. Each sound made him turn his head. A branch snapped somewhere close. His breath caught. He whispered to himself that it was only a deer or another harmless animal. But deep inside, he knew this was no deer. The sound was heavy, too heavy, like the step of something massive. The smell in the air shifted. It was no longer the sweet scent of pine needles. A musky, wild odor drifted past, sharp enough to sting his nose. His instincts screamed that a predator was near. He wanted to run, but his legs felt frozen. He stood still, waiting, listening. Then the shape appeared. Between two wide trunks, a figure stepped out. At first, Ryan thought it was a shadow, too tall and too broad to be real. But the shadow moved. A head rose higher than his own by several feet. The figure came closer, and the fading sunlight lit its body. Ryan's breath stopped. Standing before him was something that looked half beast, half person. The creature's body was covered in thick fur the color of midnight. Its chest was broad, shoulders wide, and its arms hung low, ending in strong hands with claws that gleamed faintly. Two long ears pointed upward, twitching to every sound. Its eyes glowed silver, reflecting the last rays of the sun. The head was that of a wolf, but its stance was upright, towering at least 10 feet above the ground. Each step made the earth tremble under Ryan's boots. He wanted to scream, but no sound left his mouth. He wanted to run, but his legs locked in place. The massive being stopped only a few feet away, looking down at him with eyes that seemed both sharp and searching. Ryan expected an attack. Instead, the wolf being tilted its head, as though studying him. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rough, yet strangely clear. "Mate," the creature said. The word cut through the silence like thunder. Ryan blinked, unsure if he had heard right. He could not believe that the beast had spoken in human language. His mind rushed to understand. Did it mean him? Why that word? He swallowed hard, forcing himself to answer. "What are you?" he whispered. The towering figure crouched slightly, still keeping her glowing eyes locked on him. "I am Myra," she said slowly, the sound of the name rolling from her throat like distant growls. "You are human. And you are mine." Ryan's knees nearly gave out. He shook his head, his voice trembling. "I am not yours. I do not understand. Myra's gaze softened. For a moment, Ryan saw something unexpected in her eyes. It was not the hunger of a predator. It was not the cold stare of an enemy. It was something closer to recognition, as if she had been waiting for him. She lowered one hand, her claws brushing the dirt, and stayed still, showing she did not mean harm. "You will not be hurt," she said. "I call you mate because my spirit says so. The bond is written." Ryan took a step back, his pulse racing. He wanted to dismiss it as nonsense, but he felt an odd pull in his chest, as if some invisible thread connected them. He clenched his fists. "You must be mistaken. Humans and your kind are not the same. Why would you call me that?" Myra's ears flicked. Her voice grew firm. "Because strength knows strength. Your people came from the stars, yet you walk into the forest without fear. You do not hide when you sense danger. That is courage. My kind value this. You are chosen." Ryan laughed nervously, shaking his head. "I was terrified. I am no warrior. I fix machines. That is all." The great wolf being leaned closer, her shadow swallowing him in darkness. "Fear does not erase courage," she said. "Even the smallest flame burns in the night." Her words stunned him. He could not understand how such a beast could speak with wisdom. He wanted to flee, yet some part of him stayed rooted to the ground, listening. He asked quietly, "Why me? There are many humans in the colony. Why not someone stronger?" Myra lifted her head, looking toward the stars that had begun to appear between the treetops. "Because the bond is not chosen by sight. It is known. When I first saw you step into the forest, I felt it. My people believe that when the bond is felt, it cannot be broken." Ryan shook his head again, though less firmly now. "Your people? There are more like you." Her silver eyes narrowed slightly. "Yes. We are many. We live where the trees grow thick and the mountains rise. But we remain unseen. Humans are new to this world, and trust is not yet given. My people guard our ways. Yet I came here because the forest whispered of change. And then I found you." Ryan rubbed his forehead, struggling to think clearly. "If your people hide, why reveal yourself now? Why to me?" "Because you must know," Myra replied. "Storms are coming. Enemies that will burn your colony and hunt mine. Alone, we fall. Together, we may stand. And for that, we need a bond. I felt it with you." Ryan's chest tightened. Her words felt heavy with truth, but he did not want to believe them. He had come here for peace, not prophecy. He tried to steady his voice. "If I go back and tell them this, they will laugh at me. They will call me a fool." Myra's lips pulled back, showing long sharp teeth, but not in threat. It was something closer to a smile, though a terrifying one. "Then do not tell them yet. Let them see with their own eyes. I will not harm you. But remember my word. You are mate. And in time, you will understand." Ryan stepped back slowly, keeping his eyes on her massive form. His instincts still screamed to run, yet some part of him felt almost safe under her gaze. He turned, finally forcing his legs to move. He walked quickly down the path, never looking away until the trees hid her completely. When he reached the colony fence, his breath came in gasps. He pressed his back to the metal, shaking. His mind spun with disbelief. A 10-foot-tall wolf being had spoken to him, called him mate, and warned of danger. It should have been a nightmare, but it was real. He could still smell her wild scent clinging to his clothes. He could still hear the deep voice in his ears. He closed his eyes and whispered to himself. What have I gotten into? Far behind him, in the shadowed forest, Myra watched from a distance. Her glowing eyes never left him until he disappeared into the safety of human walls. She spoke softly to the night air, words meant for no one else. The bond is begun. The next morning in the colony, Ryan tried to focus on his work. He sat at a workbench, repairing a broken power tool, but his hands shook. Sparks jumped where the tool misaligned, and he cursed under his breath. His mind was not on the machine. It was on the forest, on glowing silver eyes, on the towering shape that had looked down at him and spoken with a voice both wild and wise. He had not slept well. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face. Myra. The name itself rang in his mind like a bell. She had called him mate. She had spoken of a bond, of storms coming, of enemies that would destroy both humans and her kind. He wanted to dismiss it as a dream. But his clothes still carried that wild scent, and the memory of her shadow still weighed on him. He could not lie to himself. It had been real. Around him, the colony buzzed with morning activity. Families hurried through the square. Children ran between houses made of steel and stone. The smell of breakfast drifted from open doors. The colony looked strong on the outside, but Ryan knew better. The walls were thin, the weapons few, and the people untrained for real war. They had come to build, not to fight. His friend Mark stopped by, holding a steaming cup of tea. Mark noticed Ryan's pale face and tired eyes. You look like you wrestled a storm last night. What happened? Ryan hesitated. He wanted to tell someone, but he remembered Myra's warning. If he spoke, they would laugh. Or worse, they would hunt her kind. He forced a small smile. Bad dreams. Nothing more. Mark shrugged. Stay out of the forest at night. That place is cursed. Even the hunters stay close to the walls after sunset. You should too. Ryan only nodded, hiding the truth. But deep inside, he knew he would return. Something about Myra's words had anchored themselves in him. That evening, as the sun lowered again, Ryan found himself walking back to the trees. His heart argued with his feet. He told himself he was a fool, but he kept going. The colony wall faded behind him, and soon he was back on the narrow path. The forest was alive with sound this time. Crickets sang, leaves rustled in the wind, and the distant cry of some bird echoed. But Ryan still felt the heavy presence of unseen eyes. He slowed his steps and whispered. If you are here, show yourself. Silence answered for a long moment. Then a shadow moved between the trunks. The towering figure stepped out again. Myra stood as she had before, tall and powerful, her fur glinting in the fading light. Ryan's heart hammered, but he did not run. He raised his chin, trying to show courage. I came back. Myra lowered her head slightly, her glowing eyes narrowing in approval. I knew you would. The bond calls. You cannot turn away. Ryan took a shaky breath. You called me mate. I still do not understand what that means. Myra moved closer, her heavy step slow and deliberate. To my people, mate is not only for breeding. It is for those who share spirit. It means trust. It means life bound to life. When I said it, I gave you my vow. I will guard you. I will not betray you. Her words carried a weight that pressed into Ryan's chest. He wanted to argue, to deny, but part of him longed to believe. "You are a warrior," he said softly. "I am nothing like that. Why would you vow to me?" "You are more than you know," Myra replied. "Strength is not always in muscle. I see it in your eyes. You do not bow even when afraid. You face me, though I tower over you. That is strength." Ryan felt heat rise to his face. He had never been praised like that. Most saw him as a simple worker, a man who kept machines alive but did nothing great. To hear such words from a creature like Myra stirred something inside him. Still, he shook his head. "Even if what you say is true, my people will never accept you. If they saw you, they would take up weapons." Myra's ears flicked, and her expression hardened. "Yes. Humans fear what is different. My people also fear humans. We fought once when your kind first landed. Blood was spilled. But the past does not matter now. Danger is coming. If we stay divided, both sides will fall." Ryan frowned. "You spoke of enemies. Who are they?" Myra's eyes grew darker, like storm clouds gathering. "They are called Drox. They fly in ships of fire. They strip the land, leaving only ash. My people fought them long ago. We barely survived. Now they hunt new worlds. They will come here." Ryan's stomach tightened. He had never heard of the Drox. The colony leaders spoke only of building farms, not of war. "How do you know they are coming?" "The signs are clear," Myra said firmly. "Strange lights in the sky, whispers carried on the wind. Scouts have seen the marks of their machines in the outer valleys. I came to warn you. But your leaders will not listen. They see only themselves. That is why I chose you. Through you, the bond can grow. Through you, humans and my kind may stand together." Ryan rubbed his temples, overwhelmed. "If I tell them this, they will call me mad. They will not listen to me either." Myra stepped closer until her shadow fell over him. She knelt, lowering her massive form so her silver eyes were level with his. "Then do not speak with words. Speak with action. Stay by me. Learn. When the time comes, they will see truth with their own eyes." Ryan looked up at her. For a moment, fear melted away. He saw not a monster, but a guardian. She was dangerous, yes, but her power was not aimed at him. She had chosen to protect him, for reasons he could not yet grasp. He whispered, "If I stay, what happens?" "You will see my world," Myra said softly. "You will meet my people. They will test you, but if you endure, the bond will be accepted. Then you will not stand alone, and neither will I." Ryan hesitated, his thoughts racing. The safe choice was to return to the colony and forget this ever happened. But deep inside, he knew safety was an illusion. If what Myra said was true, the Drox would come, and the colony would fall unprepared. Perhaps she was his only chance to help his people survive. Finally, he nodded. "I will come with you. But only for now. I cannot promise more." Myra's ears lifted, and her chest rumbled with a sound that might have been a laugh. "That is enough. The bond begins with a step, not a leap." She rose to her full height again, towering above him. With one clawed hand, she gestured deeper into the forest. "Follow me." Ryan took a deep breath and stepped forward. The path ahead was dark, the trees thick, the air heavy with the unknown. Yet he walked beside her, his fear balanced by strange trust. As they moved deeper into the forest, Ryan began to notice details he had missed before. Carvings marked some trees, symbols shaped like claws and stars. The ground bore prints far larger than his own boots. Faint glowing stones lit hidden trails Myra's people were near. At one point, Ryan stumbled on a root. He fell forward, but before he hit the ground, a massive hand caught him. Myra lifted him gently and set him back on his feet. "Do not fear the forest," she said. "It does not wish you harm when you walk with me." Ryan muttered thanks, embarrassed, but also strangely comforted. The night deepened, and the first stars appeared overhead. Far in the distance, Ryan saw shapes moving among the trees, tall figures with glowing eyes watching from the shadows. They did not approach, but their presence made his skin prickle. Myra noticed his unease. "Do not fear. They are my kin. They wait to see who you are. Soon, they will decide if you are worthy to stand beside me." Ryan swallowed hard. "And if they decide I am not?" Myra's silver eyes flashed. "Then they will learn my choice is final. You are made. That cannot be broken." Ryan felt the weight of her words again. He had stepped into something larger than himself, something dangerous and unknown. Yet as he walked beside Myra into the heart of the forest, he felt a spark of courage. Whatever awaited him, he would face it. Not alone, but with her towering form at his side. Ryan followed Myra deeper into the forest. The air grew colder, and the trees grew thicker. Branches stretched overhead like dark arms, covering the sky. The path twisted and dipped, and faint glowing stones marked the way. Ryan's steps felt heavy, not from the journey, but from the weight of what lay ahead. He was about to meet Myra's people, the hidden tribe she spoke of. Myra walked with steady steps, her tall form moving with grace despite her size. Her glowing eyes scanned the forest as though every sound mattered. Ryan noticed she never looked nervous or uncertain. She moved like a queen returning to her kingdom. At last, the forest opened into a wide clearing. In the center stood tall wooden towers built from giant tree trunks. Fires burned at their base, sending sparks into the air. Around the fires, figures moved. They were like myriad tall wolf beings with glowing eyes, fur of different shades, and strong bodies covered in markings. Some carried spears tipped with stone, others bows strung with sinew, and a few wore armor made from bones and metal scraps. The moment Ryan stepped into the clearing, dozens of glowing eyes turned toward him. The tribe froze, watching him in silence. Ryan felt his knees weaken. He had never been the focus of so many stares, and these stares were sharp, weighing him like scales. Myra lifted her head and let out a deep growl that echoed through the clearing. The wolf beings responded with a chorus of low growls. Then silence returned. Myra stepped forward and spoke in a tongue Ryan did not understand. Her words were deep and rough, filled with strength. One of the wolf beings stepped out from the crowd. He was taller than Myra, with fur the color of snow and scars across his chest. His eyes glowed blue instead of silver. He carried a massive axe on his back. He looked at Ryan, then at Myra. His growl rumbled like thunder. Ryan did not need to understand the language to know what was happening. This was a challenge. The scarred wolf was questioning Myra's choice to bring a human here. Myra stood firm, her ears forward and her chest lifted. She growled back, her voice sharp and unyielding. The scarred wolf snarled, baring his long teeth. Then he pointed at Ryan with one clawed hand. Ryan's stomach dropped. He whispered to Myra. "What is he saying?" Myra's eyes did not leave the scarred wolf. He is Turok, war leader of my people. He says you are weak. He says you cannot stand beside me. He demands you prove yourself. Ryan's heart pounded. Prove myself? How? Myra finally looked down at him. You must face the trial. If you pass, they will accept you. If you fail, they will turn against me. Ryan stared at her, stunned. I am not a fighter. I cannot fight one of them. Myra's voice lowered. The trial is not always battle. It is test of spirit. You must not show fear. You must not turn away. Stand as you are, even if you fall. Ryan swallowed hard. He wanted to run back to the colony, to safety, but his feet would not move. He saw the wolf tribe watching him, waiting. He knew Myra's honor rested on him now. Slowly, he nodded. What do I do? Turok growled again, then gestured for the others to prepare. Two wolf beings brought forward a large stone slab covered in markings. They set it in the center of the clearing. Turok pointed at Ryan, then at the slab. Myra explained. The trial is called the Stone of Truth. You must place your hand on it and face what the stone shows. It reveals your heart. If you are a liar, it will crush you. If you are true, it will release you. Ryan's mouth went dry. Crush me. Myra's eyes softened, though her voice stayed steady. Do not fear. If your courage is real, the stone will not harm you. Ryan stepped forward, each pace heavy. He felt the weight of every stair pressing on his back. When he reached the slab, he placed his right hand on its rough surface. The markings glowed faintly beneath his fingers. Suddenly, the world around him vanished. The fire, the tribe, even Myra disappeared. Ryan stood in darkness. Then shapes formed. He saw his colony burning. He saw the walls fall, people running, children crying. Shadows with sharp claws swept through the smoke. The Drox, he realized. The enemy Myra had warned him about. Ryan wanted to turn away, but the vision pulled him deeper. He saw himself hiding, cowering, watching others die. He felt shame flood him. The stone was showing his greatest fear, not death, but weakness, the fear of failing everyone. A voice boomed in the darkness. Do you run, or do you stand? Ryan's legs shook. He wanted to run. He was not a hero. He was only a worker. But then he remembered Myra's words. Fear does not erase courage. Even the smallest flame burns in the night. He clenched his fists. He forced himself to lift his head. I will stand, he said. His voice echoed in the darkness. I may be afraid, but I will not run. The vision faded. The fire returned, the tribe watching, Myra's eyes shining. The markings on the stone glowed brighter, then dimmed. Ryan pulled his hand back. His palm was unburned. For a long moment, silence hung over the clearing. Then Myra lifted her head and let out a deep howl. The tribe answered with their own howls, filling the night air with sound. Turok glared at Ryan, but he did not challenge further. He turned away with a growl. Myra stepped forward and placed one massive hand on Ryan's shoulder. You have passed. They see you now. Ryan's chest heaved. His knees nearly gave out, but relief washed over him. He had not been crushed. He had not been rejected. He had stood, and the stone had accepted his truth. The tribe moved again, some curious, some still cautious. A few approached him, sniffing the air, watching his every move. But none attacked. For the first time, Ryan felt he was not just an intruder. He was part of something larger. That night, Myra led him to a fire where food was shared. The tribe ate roasted meat and strange fruits Ryan had never seen. They offered him some, and though the taste was wild and sharp, he forced himself to eat. Myra sat beside him, her massive frame a shield against the curious stares. As the fire crackled, Ryan whispered to her, "Why do they listen to the stone?" Myra answered softly, "The stone is older than my tribe. It was given by the first ones, who taught us the way of spirit. It does not lie. When you placed your hand on it, it showed them your truth. They will trust what it showed." Ryan nodded slowly. "I saw the colony burning. I saw myself hiding. It was my greatest fear." Myra's eyes glowed in the firelight. "And you did not hide. You chose to stand. That is why the stone released you." Ryan looked into the flames, thinking. He had always seen himself as ordinary, someone who fixed machines but never made history. Yet tonight, before a tribe of alien warriors, he had proven something even he did not know. The night stretched on. Songs were sung in the wolf tribe's tongue, deep and powerful, like drums beating against the earth. Ryan did not understand the words, but he felt their meaning. It was a song of survival, of unity, of strength. When the fire grew low, Myra stood. "Come," she said. "You will rest in my shelter tonight. Tomorrow, you will learn more." Ryan followed her to a den carved into the side of a hill. Inside, furs lined the ground, and the air smelled of pine and smoke. Myra motioned for him to sit. As Ryan settled onto the furs, exhaustion hit him. His body ached from nerves and strain, but his mind buzzed with thought. He looked at Myra, who stood tall in the entrance, watching the forest beyond. "You risked much bringing me here," he said quietly. Myra turned her glowing eyes to him. "Yes. But the bond is worth the risk." Ryan nodded slowly, his eyelids heavy. For the first time since landing on this world, he felt he might not be alone. Sleep took him under, while Myra stood guard, a silent protector in the night. The days passed in the forest, and Ryan found himself learning more than he had ever expected. Myra's tribe accepted him slowly, though not all trusted him. Some watched from a distance, their eyes suspicious, but others grew curious and even respectful. The trial of the stone had proved he was true of heart, and though he was still small and fragile compared to them, he had begun to earn his place. Myra taught him to read the marks of the forest. She showed him how to listen to the wind, how to sense danger in the quiet, how to walk without breaking a twig beneath his boots. She taught him which fruits healed and which poisoned, how to follow streams to hidden springs, and how to sharpen stone into a blade. Ryan tried his best, though he often stumbled. He was clumsy compared to the wolf beings, but Myra was patient. When he fell, she lifted him. When he doubted himself, she reminded him of the trial he had passed. Her steady presence gave him strength. At night, he listened to the tribe sing their songs. Their voices rumbled like thunder and carried far into the trees. The songs spoke of battles fought long ago, of stars that guided their ancestors, of the bond between pack and mate. Ryan did not understand every word, but the meaning filled him with a strange pride. Still, the memory of Myra's warning weighed on him. The Drox. The enemy that would come. He often lay awake at night, staring at the glowing coals of the fire, wondering if he had made the right choice. The colony walls were fragile, the humans unprepared. If the Drox truly arrived, what chance would they have? The answer came sooner than he expected. It was early morning when the first signs appeared. Ryan was with Myra near the river, practicing how to set traps. Suddenly, a sound split the sky. It was a deep roar, louder than thunder, vibrating through the ground. Ryan looked up and froze. Above the trees, dark shapes moved. They were not birds or clouds. They were ships, massive and sharp, their black hulls reflecting the sun. Fire trailed behind them as they cut through the sky. Myra's ears flattened. Her growl shook the air. "Drox," she said. Ryan's heart leaped into his throat. He had imagined this moment, but seeing it with his own eyes filled him with dread. The ship slowed and spread apart, moving toward the direction of the colony. "We have to warn them," Ryan said quickly. Myra shook her head. "They will not listen. They will raise walls, but walls will fall. Then what do we do?" Ryan asked, panic rising in his voice. Myra placed one clawed hand on his shoulder. Her silver eyes blazed with fire. "We stand. But first, we show your people truth. They must see my kind fight by their side." Without another word, she turned and let out a howl that shook the forest. It echoed across the trees. Moments later, shapes moved among the trunks as her tribe appeared, answering her call. Dozens of towering figures gathered, weapons ready, eyes glowing in the morning light. Turok, the scarred war leader, stepped forward, his axe gleaming. "It begins," he growled. Myra nodded. "It begins. We march to the human colony." Ryan's stomach tightened. He knew what would happen when the humans saw them. Fear. Weapons raised. But there was no time to argue. The Drox ships were already descending. They moved quickly through the forest. Ryan struggled to keep up, but Myra slowed her steps so he did not fall behind. As they neared the edge of the trees, smoke rose in the distance. The colony was under attack. Flames licked the sky. Explosions shook the ground. Screams carried through the air. Ryan's chest tightened as he saw people running, walls burning, and black machines stomping through the streets. The Drox had landed. The enemy soldiers were tall, insect-like, with armored bodies and long blade limbs. Their eyes glowed red, and strange weapons fired beams that melted steel. Ryan watched in horror as one of the machines tore through a guard tower with ease. "Go back," Ryan gasped to Myra. "If they see you, they will think you are enemies too." Myra growled low. "If they see us fight the Drox, they will learn. It is the only way." Before Ryan could answer, Turok let out a roar and charged forward. The rest of the tribe followed, their massive forms crashing into the colony square. The humans screamed when they saw them. Some pointed rifles. Others froze in terror. But then the Drox soldiers turned, and the wolf being struck. The battle was like nothing Ryan had ever seen. Myra leaped into the air, her claws tearing through a Drox machine, ripping its armor apart. Turok swung his axe, cleaving an insect soldier in two. The tribe moved as one, their howls rising above the noise of fire and steel. Ryan ducked behind a wall, his heart racing. He wanted to help, but he had no weapon, no training. He could only watch as Myra fought like a storm. Every movement was powerful, precise, and filled with fury. At first, the humans did not understand. They raised rifles, unsure who to aim at. But then they saw the truth. They saw the wolf beings tearing into the Drox, protecting children, pulling civilians away from fire. Slowly, the rifles lowered. Some humans even joined the fight, shooting at the Drox beside their towering allies. Ryan's friend Mark appeared, pulling him from behind the wall. "Ryan, what is happening? What are those things?" Ryan gasped for breath. "They are with us. They are not the enemy. They are saving us." Mark's eyes widened, but he did not argue. Together, they ran to help pull wounded colonists to safety. The battle raged for hours. Drox ships circled above, firing beams into buildings. Myra's tribe climbed walls, leaping onto the ships and dragging them down. Explosions filled the sky. At one point, Ryan saw a Drox soldier break through the line and rush toward a group of children hiding near the well. His blood turned cold. He had no weapon, no claws, nothing. But he did not think. He ran. He grabbed a metal rod from the ground and swung with all his strength. The rod struck the Drox in the head, but it barely flinched. The creature raised its blade-like arm. Ryan froze, knowing this was the end. Then Myra appeared, crashing into the Drox with a roar. She tore it apart, pieces flying across the square. She turned to Ryan, her silver eyes blazing. "Do not run into death without me," she growled, but her voice held something close to pride. Ryan panted, clutching the rod. "I could not let them die." Myra's chest rumbled, a sound like approval. "That is why you are made." The fighting dragged on until the last Drox ship fell from the sky, burning as it crashed beyond the hills. The colony square was filled with smoke and rubble. Bodies lay scattered, but many had survived. Humans stood beside wolf beings, bloodied but alive. When the dust settled, the colony leader, a stern man named Harris, stepped forward. He looked at the towering figures, then at Ryan. His face was pale with shock. "You brought them here," he said. Ryan stood tall, his voice steady despite his fear. "They saved us. Without them, the colony would be ash. You see it now. We cannot survive alone. We need them, and they need us." Harris looked at the wreckage, at the survivors gathered around Myra's tribe, at the Drox corpses scattered across the square. Slowly, he nodded. "Then we will stand together." Myra stepped forward, towering above the humans. Her silver eyes met Harris's, then Ryan's. "The first battle is won. But the war has only begun." Ryan looked at her, his chest rising and falling with exhaustion. Yet despite the destruction around him, a spark of hope burned in his heart. For the first time, humans and wolf beings stood united. And for the first time, he truly believed Myra's words. The bond was real. The colony was silent after the battle. Smoke curled from broken walls, fires burned low, and the wounded lay in rows waiting for help. Humans moved carefully, dragging beams off trapped survivors, carrying water, and trying to bring order back to the chaos. Beside them stood Myra's tribe. The tall wolf beings moved among the humans, their claws now sheathed, their weapons set aside. They worked in silence, lifting heavy stones that no human could move, carrying injured colonists to safety. Slowly, the fear began to fade. Where once there had been mistrust, now there was awe. Ryan stood in the middle of the square, his body aching from exhaustion, his hands blistered from pulling debris all morning. Yet he did not stop. Every time he looked up, he saw Myra working beside the others, her great form moving with strength and purpose, and he found the strength to keep going. When the sun began to set, Harris, the colony leader, called the survivors together. His voice was rough, his uniform torn, but he stood tall. "We survived today because of them," he said, pointing toward Myra and her tribe. "The Drox will come again, and next time they will come in greater numbers. If we do not prepare, this colony will not last." Murmurs spread among the crowd. Some still looked nervous at the towering figures, but others nodded. They had seen the wolf beings fight, and many had been saved by their hands. Harris continued, "We have a choice. We can rebuild our walls alone and wait for death, or we can join with them. We can fight as one." The people hesitated, but then Ryan stepped forward. His voice carried across the square. "You saw what happened today. Alone, we could not stand together, we drove them back. Myra's people are not our enemies. They are our chance." He looked at Myra. She stood still, her silver eyes glowing in the fading light. For a moment, the crowd was quiet. Then a young woman stepped forward, her arm bandaged, her face pale. "One of them saved my brother," she said. "If not for them, he would be gone." Others followed. A farmer spoke of how Torek had lifted a collapsed beam to free his wife. A guard spoke of fighting shoulder to shoulder with one of the warriors. Slowly, voices rose in agreement. Harris nodded. "Then it is decided. From this day, the colony and the tribe will stand together." A cheer rose, weak but real. The bond had begun. But the night brought no rest. Ryan awoke to the sound of horns. Myra's people howled, their voices carrying far into the hills. Ryan stumbled out of his tent and saw shadows moving in the sky. More ships. Darker. Larger. The Drox had returned. Myra stood ready, her claws gleaming in the moonlight. Torek growled at her side, his axe in hand. Harris ran through the square, shouting orders. "Positions. Get everyone to shelter." Ryan's heart pounded. "They are coming too soon," he whispered. Myra's eyes narrowed. "This is not raid. This is war." The Drox ships hovered above the colony, and beams of light sliced through the walls. Machines poured out, insect-like soldiers marching in rows, their red eyes glowing. Behind them came larger beasts, armored and crawling on multiple limbs, their screeches piercing the air. The humans raised rifles on the rooftops, firing into the swarm. Myra's tribe roared and charged, their giant forms slamming into the enemy. The battle began again, fiercer than before. Ryan grabbed a weapon from the armory, a simple pulse rifle, though it felt heavy in his hands. He ran to join Mark and the other colonists on the wall. His hands shook, but he aimed and fired. A Drox soldier fell, its armor sparking. For the first time, Ryan felt he could fight back. But the enemy did not stop. They came in endless waves, their claws tearing at stone and steel. Explosions rocked the colony, flames rising higher than before. Myra fought at the front, her howls shaking the air. She moved like a storm, claws tearing, teeth flashing, her silver eyes glowing with fury. Wherever she went, Drox fell. Torek fought beside her, his axe cleaving machines apart. Yet even they could not be everywhere. A great beast broke through the defenses, its armored body crushing houses. Its screech shook the ground. Humans scattered in fear. Ryan's heart froze as he saw it heading toward the shelter where children hid. He ran, shouting for Myra. She turned, saw the beast, and leaped. The impact shook the earth as she struck, claws raking across its armor. But the beast was strong. It flung her aside, sending her crashing into the dirt. "Myra!" Ryan screamed. She rose, blood on her arm, but her eyes burned with fire. "Stay back," she growled. Ryan did not listen. He fired his rifle, the beams sparking against the beast's armor. It barely noticed, but he kept shooting, drawing its attention. The monster turned toward him, its glowing eyes locking onto his small form. His hands shook, but he stood firm. He would not run. If he fell, he would fall beside her. The beast charged. Before it could strike, Myra launched herself again. With a roar, she tore into its neck, biting through the plates of armor. The beast screeched, thrashing wildly, but she held on, ripping and clawing until the creature collapsed in a heap of smoke and blood. She stood above it, chest heaving, silver eyes blazing. She looked at Ryan, her voice low but steady. "You are not small. Not to me." The battle raged all night. Humans and wolf beings fought side by side, covering each other, saving each other. The Drox pushed hard, but they had not expected unity. Where before the humans had been weak, now they fought with strength born of hope. Where before the wolf beings had been feared, now they were trusted. Together, they stood unbroken. At dawn, the last Drox ship fell from the sky, crashing into the forest with a thunderous boom. The survivors stood among the ruins, their bodies battered, their weapons broken, but their spirits unbroken. Silence fell as the sun rose over the shattered colony. Harris lowered his weapon, his face streaked with ash. "It is over," he said softly. Torek growled, shaking his head. "No. This was not end. This was beginning. Drox will come again. Stronger." Myra stepped forward, her silver eyes sweeping across the humans. "Then we prepare. Together. Your walls and our claws. Your fire and our howl. Alone, we fall. Together, we rise." The people nodded. For the first time, no one questioned her words. Ryan stood beside Myra, his body aching, his rifle heavy in his hand. He looked at the wreckage of the colony, at the scars across the ground, at the survivors leaning on one another. They had lost much, but they had gained something greater. Hope. Myra looked down at him, her great form towering over his small frame. She placed her clawed hand gently on his shoulder. "Mate," she said, her voice soft now, almost tender. Ryan smiled through his exhaustion. "Together," he answered. The sun climbed higher, casting golden light over the ruins. Humans and wolf beings stood side by side, no longer strangers, no longer enemies. They were one. And as Myra lifted her head to the sky and let out a long, proud howl, Ryan felt it echo in his chest. It was not only the sound of her tribe. It was the sound of a future they would build together. The howl of unity. The howl of hope. The howl of humanity and the pack as one.